Good morning, West Senators. As part of our continuation of our celebration of veterans that work here at Portsmouth West Schools, I want to introduce you to a real good friend of mine, also our District Special Ed Coordinator, Lieutenant Colonel Eric Nichols. He's going to talk a little bit about what he does, and then we'll interview him on his experiences as a veteran. Mr. Nichols, you work as a
Yes, Mr. Lloyd, I work as the Director of Special and Gifted Education here at Washington-Nile local schools. Most of the kiddos see me walking the halls, but I don't work in any one particular building. I work in all three buildings across the district, and I've been in that job for, it's hard to believe, Mr. Lloyd, but this is my 5th year as the Director of Special and Gifted. Prior to that, I served 12 years as the Portsmouth West High School assistant principal, and I even had 11 years as serving as the assistant principal and athletic director for the district. One other thing that I'm very proud of here is for the past 4 years, I've been the head coach for our varsity high school swim team, and we're doing great things with that program.
All right, we'll get into the interview about your experience. Question 1, when did you enlist in the military? What branch did you serve in, and what was your, basically your occupation?
All right, well, Mr. Lloyd, way back whenever I was a junior in high school, on my 17th birthday, and I'm not making that up, on my 17th birthday, I enlisted in the United States Army Reserves at what was called the MEPS, or the Military Enlistment Processing Station in Columbus, Ohio. Between my junior and senior year of high school, I actually went to basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, which probably was one of the hottest places I've ever been, in my life up to that point. And I do believe on record, the summer of way back in 1988, 33 years ago, I think that was one of the hottest summers on record. So then, following my basic training, I returned for my senior year of high school.
Okay, great. Next question. When you enlisted, what were some of the reasons you decided to enlist? What was your family's reaction?
Well, I come from a long line of soldiers, so soldiers and Marines. I knew from a very young age that was one of the things that I wanted to do with my life, kind of instill a little bit of personal discipline, give my life a little more purpose. So, as I said, on that 17th birthday, my mother and father actually had to, sign and give permission for me to enlist at that age. So, they had they were behind me, they supported my decision, and I tried not to let them down. And now, 33 years later, a lifetime it seems, I still continue to serve, and I've got a couple more years left before mandatory retirement kicks in, Mr. Lloyd.
Okay. Tell us about the day you enlisted. Any memories, good, bad, indifferent?
Well, probably a lot like a lot of our young men here at Portsmouth West. I remember I was from Washington County over around Marietta, Ohio, and I remember boarding a bus, a Greyhound bus. That was the first time I've ever been on a Greyhound bus. It may well have been the very first time that I traveled anywhere alone. And I remember traveling to the big city of Chillicothe, Ohio, and picking up some of the other enlistees before, roading up to Columbus, Ohio, and then spending the night there at Columbus, Ohio, and then on my birthday, doing the deed, swearing in and enlisting in the Army Reserves.
All right. How did you imagine military life before you joined? And then what were your perceptions after you joined?
That is a very difficult question, Mr. Lloyd. It has changed a lot, in 33 years. I kind of started off as an enlisted soldier, that 17-year-old enlisted soldier who went up through the rank of specialist. Then, following my basic training at Fort Jackson, my AIT after graduation from high school at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, I became a truck driver of all blessed things, Mr. Lloyd, a truck driver. Then that fall, I received a ROTC scholarship to the University of Rio Grande. So I began a journey, a 4-year journey there at Rio Grande, to receive my commission as a second lieutenant on Friday the 13th, 1993. So as we move forward from that date, served as a platoon leader, served as a company level staff, company commander. I've served as battalion, different positions at the battalion level. I've served as a battalion detachment commander, and I currently serve as what's called a command and staff college ILE instructor. So I'm taking all that knowledge and all those experiences of all those years, and I'm essentially a adjunct college professor teaching field grade officers to become better leaders. So
sounds special. What was your basic training like?
So
at Fort Jackson.
At Fort Jackson, climbing in that
Besides being
time
hot.
machine, it was hot, and I'm going to tell you, it was the word transformative comes to mind. Because whenever you're 17 years old, my goodness, like a lot of 17-year-olds, I didn't even know what I wanted to do with life, and it was definitely a physical challenge. It was a mental challenge, but the reward, knowing that when you graduated from basic training, that was a feeling which is hard to replace. Knowing that you achieved that goal and that one goal would lead to so many other things in your life and open up windows to so many more opportunities.
Awesome. Well, I know you've been in a lot of places, but tell us about some of the places you've been stationed at during your military career.
So I've been many places. I've almost, Mr. Lloyd, lost track of how many places. But as a reservist, you're given the opportunity to serve in many different places, but for short periods of time. But obviously, we talked about Fort Jackson, we talked about Fort Leonard Wood, Fort Lewis, Washington, MacDill Air Force Base in Florida. I've been in Panama, and I did one of my most memorable experiences was in Panama as an engineer company commander, and we built a school and an access road to that school in Panama. And here these folks were, Mr. Lloyd, that they had nothing. They literally lived under a piece of metal tin, and they had a pot to cook their beans in. But when we built that school for them, Mr. Lloyd, they gathered up their money, and they made the biggest, nicest cake that you would ever imagine for our soldiers in appreciation.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
So beyond Panama, Korea on a couple different occasions, Germany on a couple occasions, Turkey, and my most memorable experience was, Afghanistan. I served for a year in Afghanistan, training the Afghan National Army. So that was some really great memories.
When were you in Afghanistan? Just
2003, 2004.
so,
Towards the early years of our experience there in operation at what was called Enduring Freedom at the time. So proud of it. 582 Afghan soldiers were trained by what was called a mobile training team, 13 officers, just really good experience.
Okay, after your active service was over, did you go to work or did you go back to school? I know you're still in reserves,
Yeah.
but
So as a reservist, those two worlds, I've lived both of those worlds hand in hand for 33 years. So it takes some discipline, it takes some sacrifice, but I am going to tell you this, first time college. In my family, first generation to go to college, and if it was not for the military, there would have been absolutely no way. I probably wouldn't have had the personal discipline to go to college at Rio Grande, let alone receive my commission. So it gave me that discipline, and it gave me the financial means in which to get my degree. So, and my military actually paid for all my degree work all the way up through my master's. So,
okay. This is a kind of a reflective question. How did your service and experiences affect your life, develop you?
Well, just to keep it simple,
Yeah.
I won't elaborate a lot, but I would not have become the person that I am here today. I wouldn't have had my home, my family, my great job here at Washington-Nile, my continued service to the country, and being around good people like Mr. Lloyd, Mr. Basler, and all the teachers and staff here at Washington-Nile. I wouldn't have had that. So forever grateful, forever thankful, and that is one of those things that you do have to press pause. Just Mr. Lloyd, at the end of the day, I'm thankful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And kind of our final question, kind of again, another reflective question. What does being a veteran mean to you? I know you have quite a perspective. You've been in so many places today. What's a veteran mean to you?
So one thing is our freedom is absolutely worth fighting for. If you have been to those places outside of the United States of America, you have a better understanding of the freedoms that we have. But Mr. Lloyd, I'm going to say this, especially in these turbulent times, how fragile those freedoms are and why it's worth holding on to. It's worth fighting for, and never give up. Never give up. Let's try to make the world better than when we were here. Just try to. I'm kind of tongue-tied on this, Mr. Lloyd. I don't know what to say.
We kind of understand that. Well, I'd like to speak for all staff and students here at Portsmouth West Middle School, and thank you for your awesome service.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd.
You've done a fantastic job not only in the military but as a school employee. I've worked with you very closely as high school principal, now as middle school principal. So you're a great friend and a great
Appreciate
patriot.
it.
And
Thank you.
Students, we will conclude this interview, and we hopefully plan on doing some more interviews down the road. At this time, we will say bye.